My name is Chef Swat, and we are on a mission to defeat Elden Ring using all 411 unique weapons in the game. Today's weapon is the Torch, and it was recommended by none other than Cheese Raider over on YouTube. If you have a weapon that you want to see, leave it in the YouTube comments below, and when we get to that weapon, we'll shout you out in the video. So throughout this run, we're first going to go over the optimal starting class when doing a run using a Torch. We will be going over the stats, when you should upgrade them, how high should you get them, are there any soft caps that you should aim to hit for, hard caps that you should aim to avoid, etc. Once we know the starting class, I'll do a full breakdown of the build that we built for the Torch run. And then after that, we will have footage from all of the 14 required bosses that it takes to become the Elden Lord. In those boss fights, we will have a voiceover where I will describe a strategy, windows of opportunity, and tips and tricks to help you defeat each boss using just a torch as you become the Elden Lord. So without further ado, let's get into the starting class. The optimal starting class, interestingly enough, for the Torch ends up being the Wrench starter class, and that is because the requirements for using a Torch are only 5 strength and 5 dexterity. All the starting classes have that equipped, so the advantage of coming in at a rune level 1 character is that you can customize your stats exactly as you want them. So when you're leveling this class, you want to first go ahead and start with getting your survivability up. We want to get that vigor to 30 right from the back, and then we like to focus on endurance, getting it to 15 if you are armorless, or 20 if you want to run that light median armor, which again, we do recommend the jump armor for this build, and we'll get into a bit more of that in the next section. Next up, once your endurance is where you want it to be at, you want to start pumping up your points into your strength. It does scale higher to strength and dexterity, so focus first on getting that to about 45, and then I would switch over to your vigor, increasing that to 50 for late game survivability. From there, I flip back to dexterity because it does scale dexterity as well. You want to bring that from 10 to 20. 20 is that first soft cap for dexterity. Switch back to strength after that. It's at 45, get it up to 60, and then pump all remaining points that you have into dexterity. Now that we know the optimal starting class, we know the stats, when we should upgrade them, in what order, and what soft caps to hit, we're now going to go into a full breakdown of the build. Now that we've gone over the optimal starting class and we know what stats to upgrade, let's go over the build for the Torch. So the Torch is a unique weapon in that if you use one torch in each hand, you actually cannot do the two-handed weapon attacks because the Torch will rise up his arm. Instead of doing the two-handed attacks, you can do your light attack, you can do your heavy attack, and you can do your jump attack. But if you try to do any kind of dual weapon attack with this, it's not going to work. So that rules out any type of dual weapon build. From there, we see the Torch, and its astronomical damage of just over 200 when fully upgraded, plus 200 fire damage, and we think this might be bad. However, it gets worse. In addition to horrible stats, in addition to an awful reach, in addition to not being able to use one in each hand, the Torch has the added benefit of not being able to perform a critical strike. Many people will tell you that the advantage of a Torch is that if you do charged heavy attacks, there is high poise damage. That is true. You will break a lot of stances with this weapon, but once their stance is broken, you're gonna have a bad time. You won't be able to get the critical strike, and your best bet will be spamming light attacks when that happens. So that being said, we made this build around optimizing the damage of the Torch because you're not going to get very much of it. So first things first, we do have jump armor equipped because one of the few ways that we can get this thing to a respectable damage is using armor that's going to add a 10% boost to it and stack it with the Claw Talisman so we get a total of a 25% boost when doing jump attacks. Next up, we have the two-handed sword talisman, and this is a DLC talisman that will increase the damage of your weapon when you are two-handing it. Since we can two-hand the Torch, this is a great weapon to use when equipping your Torch in your Torch-only challenge runs. Next up, we've got the good old ritual sword talisman. This will give us an additional 10% boost whenever we're at full health. And lastly, we have the Fire Scorpion Charm. This is going to increase our fire damage, and we see the torch does 237 fire damage. So we'll get a boost from that at the cost of some damage negation being lowered. Our Flask of Wondrous Sidekick, we're going to have the Flame Shroud and Cracked here. This will stack with the Fire Scorpion Charm to further boost that fire damage on your torch. And last but not least, we do have the OPA and hard tier for some damage negation. So all together against a random NPC, this is what it looks like. Before the boss fight, you'll go ahead and pop your Psychic Flask. I recommend engaging with a jump attack, and you see the damage, 835. That's why being fully upgraded, and that's while having the buff of the Ritual Sword Talisman, the jump attack, the armor, etc. And without even just one of those, we can see 387 fully upgraded. Still getting the buff, mind you, from the two-handed. That is the best of the best for this weapon. That is what you're going to be playing through once you get it fully upgraded, once you have your optimal talismans. It's going to be an interesting run. Let's get into the first boss, Margit. All right, we had to get into it at some point. A true meme weapon here. We're doing our best to Margit, and with this, considering, we can't break a stance, we're not going to be able to critical strike him when his stance broken. You just want to dodge some of his guaranteed windows, such as the Hammer Slam, and you're able to trade with him a little bit because the torch is going to be doing damage as long as you have the talisman set up the way that we explained over in the build section. So with that being said, in New Game Plus, when you have all your talismans all set up to go, you should be doing a fair amount of damage in the first boss, because in New Game Plus, we have this weapon up to plus 25. We're able to get Margit down without too much trouble, even though it is a torch. Still though, considering it was New Game Plus, not really an optimal place to start with this weapon class. The fight took far longer than most New Game Plus runs do take. So because we did trade a few hits with this boss and the overall damage output was quite low, the difficulty rating with the torch on Margit ends up coming in at a 2 on 10. Now, one thing that you might not realize about the second boss of the run, Godrick the Grafted, is that he is actually resistant to fire, and that resistance rages in phase 2. So I was a little bit interested to see how the torch would perform. That being said, we've got all of our buffs up to maximum, and we see even with 2 hits, we're able to take out about 20% of his health or so. It is going to be a harder fight than normal in New Game Plus Fast against this boss, because the damage output and his resistances are not going to do us any favor. Additionally, we start seeing one issue that will come up again later as this run goes, and that is the stamina management, because we have put so much resources into our offense trying to get this torch to do basically anything. We left little room for our stamina, not much on the way of stamina recovery, and so that is definitely going to be a factor when using this weapon to take on not only Godrick, but the rest of the bosses in this run. Still though, we got him to second phase for a transition, and the idea is going to be to storm him when the second phase starts and try to stagger him and then get off as many light attacks as we can, since this weapon actually can't critical strike. So we see here we get a couple tactical misses and then a couple more hits, and he is down. Godrick, always one of the easier bosses, but compared to other weapons, when we are rating the difficulty of this fight, with the current weapon, the torch, we want to see, hey, how fast were we able to get him with how much hits. We were able to get him down right when second phase started. We weren't able to beat him in first phase. So for that reason, the difficulty rating of Godrick using the torch comes out to a 2 on 10. So with the Red Wolf, as always, it is a glass cannon type boss, very mobile, lots of offensive output. And in New Game Plus, we want to focus on making sure we are in a position to avoid his attacks and then punish on small guaranteed windows, like right there. One of them is his quick bite, delay, long bite. You can roll through that for a free attack, as we did here. We were able to get off 2 light attacks. Another one will be his jumping slam attack, or his left sword, right sword slam. We're able to get off another attack here. A third one is his double spin attack, which we're able to dodge to the double spin and finish him off right there. As long as you only attack in those guaranteed windows and not when he's jumping around and setting up his magic swords for devastation, you're going to have a pretty easy fight. The difficulty with the werewolf using just the torch ends up being a 2 on 10. Let's head upstairs to Rennala, the Moon Queen. Right, when we're fighting Rennala in phase 1, we want to think first, are we able to one-shot her when she lands on the ground? So when Rennala falls down after you defeat 3 of her minions, we will get a chance to start wailing on her with the weapon while she will be in a very mobile state. So coming into this phase 1 fight, we're thinking, hey, as soon as she drops down, start wailing on her with the torch. And if we're able to get her in one cycle before she goes back up in her cocoon, it's going to be a 1 on 10 difficulty. So right here, we've got 2 of her minions down. There's the third one. And now it's going to be all about the speed of how fast she goes down, because if the weapon does not do enough damage to finish her up before she gets a chance to get up and recover, it's automatically not going to get the optimal difficulty rating. And we see here with this incredible build, we are able to get her in one cycle. Now comes the tricky part there. In phase 2, we want to be able to ideally critical strike her. As you see, she hits me out of an attack and we miss a jump attack. I'd like to stagger her and then hit her with several light attacks when she's down, like we're doing here. And then we get her into summoning range. And if we can get it one more time, we should have a decent shot of the fight. So when she summons those summons, you want to ignore them because they will keep coming back. She will keep summoning more of them. Come in, and what I find was the easiest way to beat her with the torch was to get in these jump attacks, because it lets us kind of get in and out, finishing her off with light attacks. So as long as you follow these tips, Rennala is not going to be a bad boss at all, even if we're only using a bloody torch. The difficulty rating of Rennala using the torch clocks in at a 2 on 10, but now is when the fights start to get tough. Let's check out the Dramatic Tree Sentinel. So the Drama Queen is the first big skill check of the run, and right away we can see a jump attack, a fully charged heavy attack is just tickling this boss. You are able to, if you follow this strategy guide, get a couple free hits in, a free hit on the jump attack while you're dismounting, and a couple fully charged attacks, stagger it, and that lets you get in some free light attacks as well. So we see all those tricks aside, we're able to get this boss to just over half health. If you try to heal up for full, get punished for it, and think, hey, you know what? It is about time to get this boss into second phase. So whenever we get it to second phase, we know we're going to have a period of time that it's going to transition, and that's right here. It rises up its weapon to get its lightning infusion, and that we use to our advantage in order to hit it with fully charged heavy attacks to stagger it. Using those tips, by the time the fight's now actually started, we have the boss with about a little over 1/3 health remaining. So from here on out, we want to play very safely, only get guaranteed windows, try these jump attacks, fully charged heavy attack whenever it charges us and we dodge through it. And then occasionally, we want to be able to break its stance and hit it with some light attacks, which we'll see here shortly. It's all about patience now that the fight has started and the scripting is over. So we'll dodge through this attack, we'll dodge through the slam, and this will be a window that we can use, you know, if you don't get hit by it, to do a fully charged heavy attack. And we'll see a little bit more of that as the attempt goes on. When it's doing its range attacks, you want to bait it towards you, dodge through it, dodge to the follow-up, go for your fully charged heavy. That's the best damage that you can hope to do with this weapon. A follow-up heavy jump attack, dodge through it, and I know it's close, but we want to stay at full health because that Ritual Sword Talisman gives us an additional 10% attack, and because the torch's damage output is just so low, every little bit of damage matters, and with that, we are able to, one more time, safely get out, heal back up, and make sure that we're in prime health to finish off the fight. We will challenge its lightning strike because, of course, it is better to be greedy than to be good at the game. Dramatic Tree Sentinel down, and the difficulty rating using the torch comes in at a 4 on 10. Let's head upstairs to the capital. So one advantage that we are going to have against the Ghost of Godfrey is that the best way to beat this boss is to stagger him, because he is not weak to any kinds of status ailments. The torch doesn't have any, but what it does have is a very nice fully charged attack, which has a relatively short charge time and a relatively high window to punish it. So we see here we're building up the damage before we get into that with some light attacks. And when you're using the torch to beat this boss, what you want to do is stay on his left hip or right hip as you're looking at him, get in some quick attacks as you can, and then you want to trigger that attack right there, that quick left, right. You see when he does that, we're able to punish with several follow-up attacks, ending with a jump attack and letting us really start punishing this boss as we break his stance. We'll go true, stay on that hip. We get the trigger animation of him going away, followed up with a jump attack, a light attack, dodge his last attack, and finish him off. So even though the torch is undoubtedly one of the worst weapons in the game, if you follow these tips, you're not going to have too much trouble with the gaze to Godfrey. The difficulty rating with the torch only clocks in at a 3 on 10. Let's go upstairs and see what Morgan, the Omelet King, is cooking up. So Margit is another one of those bosses that's kind of a glass cannon. He does a lot of damage. He's very mobile, and his defense is a little bit lower, kind of similar to the Red Wolf in some ways, but a much more challenging boss. Being that we are using our torch and we have no type of defensive capabilities because every bit of resources possible is tied to making this weapon do any amount of damage, we're going to have to be very careful about picking our windows to attack. You see here 2 hits were almost out of the fight immediately. So with this boss, we want to wait until he does some of his holy attacks like the spear throw we just saw there. That's going to let you punish him when he does that. Another one is going to be some of those hammer slams, or when he punishes with that jumping attack. So right here, we saw the hammer slam, we dodged through it, we get out of there, and we know he is almost about to be in Swords of Revealing Light range. Unfortunately, he punished us so much we weren't able to properly punish it, but that is why sometimes it's better to simply be greedy than to be good. Either way, we beat out the Holy Hammer attack, letting us get 2 jump attacks off on him, and we know he's pretty close to a stagger, because if we can get 3 jump attacks in a row, it's very likely to stagger this boss. We do get 2 of them, but we're not quite able to get the 3rd one before we transition into second phase. We'll get 1 hit, get out of there, and now with your torch, we want to think, hey, if we can try to stagger him, we can get a bunch of light attacks here. Let's try to get a couple charge attacks off, and we do proc the stagger. We get our endurance up, and we're able to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hits off, and that means we are starting second phase with about half of his second phase health, which is a great position to be in when you're using the torch against this boss. From here on out, we're going to find very safe windows, such as after he does his charging spear attack, we dodge that to the right, we hit him with a heavy jump attack, and then right here, we got to dodge through him, heal up. We want to be at least very close to full and dodge through his grab attack and finish him off. That grab attack is a great window to roll through and punish with 3 light attacks, as we did there for the W. If you follow these tips against Margit, the Omelet King, you'll scramble up an omelet, you're safe, and the difficulty rating only comes in at a 4 on 10. This is when the boss ranking difficulty really kicks up. The Fire Giant is incredibly resistant to fire attacks, and the Torch does by far the most of its damage through fire damage. So we know this boss is going to take a long time in order to defeat him. So we're going to show you the windows and how you want to focus on fighting him during both phase 1 and phase 2. So phase 1 starts, you want to attack that left ankle right as you're looking at it. And I like to either use fully charged heavy attacks, such as we're doing here, or some jumping heavy attacks in order to proc a stagger and get some free hits off on him. You see there, right at the start of the fight, we're able to pop his bracelet, get several free hits, stagger him, and even with all of that, take a look at this Weasel's health. This Fire Weasel, despite being staggered twice, his health is only at about 20% down. So many hits, and it's going to be like that for most of the fight. When you're using a torch against the Fire Giant, no matter how offensive you have your build in order to defeat him, you are going to have to be very patient because the fight overall is going to be very, very long. As you see, we get hit by the fire attack. That is why it is key to at least have one defensive aspect to the build. We chose to have the Opium Hardtail for more resistances for the first 3 minutes of this fight, and we are taking advantage and coming in useful as we are able to survive that fireball blast. However, in a couple of minutes, we will not have that buff, so we're going to have to lock in for the rest of the fight. Now that his bandage is popped, we still want to focus on that leg, and in my mind, I'm thinking jump attacks, fully charged heavy attacks, those are what's going to be able to stagger him, knock him down, and let us use light attacks to really wail on him when he's down. So we see we clears the distance with the jump attack, and when he's down, that's when we focus on these fully charged heavy attacks. The torch is excellent at creating a stagger that we see right here, but unfortunately the torch has no ability to critical strike, and that's going to come into play in this fight, as we do get an opportunity early on in phase 2 to critical strike the eye, only for the crit to not work. So this is another fun quirk of this weapon. You are not going to be able to use any critical strikes against any enemies here. No, it's not you, it is just how the weapon is. So whenever you do get bosses in a position to punish, use light attacks instead of trying to line up a critical strike. So right when the fight starts, we get 1 fully charged heavy, 2 fully charged heavies, and 1 more hit on the way out. I don't quite proc the stagger, and he does his AoE, his volcanic eruption. When he does that, you want to ride away, find some safe distance, and then turn around, charge him up, because he is most likely going to be activating his tracking fireballs, and we want to get those off of the field as soon as possible by going near them, activating them, getting under where the giant's going, and popping in some of these fully charged heavy attacks right when the fight starts. So you're going to have to follow that up, get on him, hit his hands or his injured leg, and try to proc a critical strike or a stagger, as we do here with this fully charged heavy attack. So we don't quite get the stagger, but we are able to get, some of the stagger buildup. And now we see the incredible potential of this weapon, or I should say the maximum potential of this weapon, because even with all those hits, even with him being staggered for a now 4th time, all the times that we take to get this boss down, you see he still has 25% of his health remaining. And this is despite an optimal buildup with as much damage as possible. And we see right here, we are not able to get the critical strike because the torch cannot crit. Absolutely brutal weapon selection here, and definitely one of the harsher side effects of using a torch is not being able to do a critical strike. I mean, for folk's sake, in Bloodborne they can crit with just their hands. You'd think a torch would have 1 critical strike, but nonetheless, we're going to knock out the tracking fireballs, get back in position behind the boss, pause, and use our jumping and our fully charged heavies in order to proc a stagger. And even if we can't crit, we want the ability to just wail on the boss while he's down and be in full comfort and knowledge of knowing that he can't hit us while he at least is staggered. From here on out, it's going to be lots of rinse and lots of repeats. We know that this boss is going to be a battle of patience, and the windows that we want to look at are as follows. As we get our 5th stagger here, what I recommend, a lot of people will tell you to go for his hands, only if you're sure that you can get in a couple hits. I prefer to go for his feet, not for a particular reason, other than it is just a bit safer. And because this fight, it just takes so long with the torch, even if you are going for his hand, it's not going to really make a significant difference. So I would rather go slow and steady. When he rolls away from you, the sequence is as follows. Hop on the horse, get in front of them, bait out 1 attack, go under the beard, hit him with your jumping attacks or fully charged heavies, dodge his roll, hop on the horse, or if he rolls close enough to you, just run right at him, strike on him when you can. And like I said, unless you're sure that you can hit those hands, you want to back off. And whenever he does do his animations for his tracking fireballs, we like to set those off right away, just by getting close to him on the horse and then getting to a safe distance. Right over here, again, we're right behind him. We're hitting off our fully charged heavy 1, fully charged heavy 2. He does get off an AoE attack, meaning we need to beat a safe retreat. And you have to kind of give and take with this boss fights. For every one of those attacks that he does an AoE at, it's going to reset his stagger, meaning that we're not really going to get a chance to critical strike him unless we get several of those in a row. And now we can chase him back down. We bait out an attack. We do a heavy charge attack. We follow it up with another. And on his way out, we go for a heavy jump attack, hop on the horse, chase him down. And when we chase him down, we hop off. Heavy charge attack from the horse. We do get rolled up on there, but we are able to survive it, mostly due to our vigor, which we get up to 50, as is mentioned and recommended in the build guide at the start of the video. So he's going to roll away again. and we're going to follow him down again. He is pretty close now, so the key is not to rush it from here. You don't want to do all of this work, all of these chasings, all of this just to let him get you here at the very end. We set off one of the fireballs, we dodge through it, we do one jump attack, we get him with another, we go for a fully charged heavy because he's almost done, and another, he's at 1 health, one more light attack does it. We go ahead and hop on the horse, we set off the fireball in celebration. Fire giant dying, incredibly difficult with the torch fight. So long, so many attacks you have to dodge. Over 7 minutes of gameplay there with an optimal build and strategy to do the most damage possible. The Fire Giant is definitely a 10 on 10 difficult with this build and this weapon. Let's move on to the Godskin Duo. The Godskin Duo is yet another boss that resists fire damage, and this was for sure the hardest boss fight when using a torch. Reason for that is, in addition to their high resistance to fire, a common strategy used for the Godskin Duo is to stagger one, use a critical strike, and then punish as they're recovering, giving you some free windows. Because the torch does not critical strike, that brings out a lot of possibilities for this boss. For that reason, we decided to add some jump armor because every little bit of damage is going to matter against this boss. We didn't want to have the armor at first because it was a little bit more stamina involved, because the jump armor has a certain amount of weight towards it, meaning our already low stamina recovery has more work to do. But the nature of this boss and the importance of getting in and out made it so that adding in an ability to jump attack a boss was very key for this fight. And you see there the reason why we get a stagger. We're unable to critical strike with the weapon, but we are able to get off 4 light attacks, and that's really what you want to do against this boss. You want to try to, get off some of those light attacks when it's not able to hit you. Not nearly as effective as doing a critical strike against him, but you have to take what you can get against this boss because it is an absolute doozy. Because most of the time you're going to be in a 2-on-1 fight. Almost every other weapon in the game, when you do get a 1-on-1, you're able to finish off the Godskins one at a time. But this torch does so little damage. And when it does critical strike, or when it does stagger, which is its biggest strength as a weapon, you're not able to fully take advantage of that by critical striking them and making them recover. So it's all about, hey, let's get this damage up as much as we can, get these windows in, utilizing our jump attacks in order to get in and out, and do our best to keep it in a 1-on-1 fight. As you see there, we're able to finish off the rounder of the 2, get a quick hit on the skinnier one, and now we want to heal up to full to maximize our weapon's potential. And we say potential quite loosely because this weapon has been an absolute doozy and a half to use. So right here, normally I like to play this a lot safer and only attack after he throws a fireball or after he is using his bell like so. But because this boss is just so resistant to our fire damage, we are in a position where we don't get that luxury. We've got to take risky hits when fighting this boss using just a torch, because even though we had this boss in a 1-on-1, we were only able to get him to about 20% health remaining. We have to back up. We have to once again engage in a 2-on-2 fight. And the whole nature of the Godskin Duo is separate them when they're together and try to make it 1-on-1. This weapon makes it incredibly difficult to do that. And you're seeing the reasons why here. So with one of them down now and with a good amount of resources, we've got about 10 potions. This is looking like an optimistic run. And we're going to, when this big weasel goes down, really focus on these jump attacks and the safe windows, such as here. We're able to roll through it, get a jump attack, and then follow it up with another. Here's the slam, another, and one more slam. And I know we can get a stagger. And right there, we get one. We're able to follow it up with another fully charged stagger. But unfortunately, I was low on stamina, wasn't able to take full advantage. So we're already trying again with a stagger. I see the bell I gave for the stagger jumps. And right there, if you are able to stagger the Godskin out of the animation, of them summoning their friend, you get a little bit more time in a one-on-one boss fight, and that is going to be key. You see, even if we can't follow up with the critical strike, staggering these bosses is incredibly important. And if you are able to time out the stagger for when they're using their bell, as we did there, you are able to spend much, much, much more time in a one-on-one fight with these bosses. That is going to be one of the key tips when using the torch to defeat the Godskin Duo, as we're doing here. He's almost done. One more hit or two should do it. As you see, he goes down, meaning we just have a little bit left. From here on out, we want to not count our eggs before they chicken. It's an Irish expression. We want to stay very aggressive, make sure that we do enough damage, because we know that he has plenty of health to summon the large one. So we're going to keep the pressure up here. Normally, I'd like to wait until he does the bell, but we're not taking any chances. Godskin Duo down using just a torch. Incredibly difficult fight. It took dozens of attempts. The difficulty rating a Godskin Duo with a torch comes out on a full 10 on 10. Malkeith is another boss that I was very worried about, because one of the best strategies for dealing with Malkeith is, of course, critical striking him and hitting him and punishing him with that critical hit on the stagger. Since we are unable to critical strike with the torch, we're going to be relying on, when he is staggered, just hitting him in with our fully charged heavies, light attacks, and getting him ready for phase 2. When phase 2 starts, that is when we want to stagger him and get in those light attacks, because if he is jumping around in phase 2, it is going to be really challenging to chase him down and chip away at his health one hit at a time as he hops around the arena, throwing distant death at us. So in phase 1, we want to find our guarantee windows, such as this right here. When he puts his knife in the ground, twist at you, you dodge through it for an easy hit there. Another one is after he does this attack, you can dodge right through it, hit him with a jump attack, and phase 2, 2 steps to the right, 3 steps back, dodge through the horizontal swing, dodge through the double, and now hits him with a jump attack. He should follow it up with an overhead swing, letting us punish him again. And as he chases you with distant death, track him down the arena, dodge through his horizontal attack, and if you hit him yet again, you will be able to really get a lot of damage off there, such as what we did with that fully charged attack followed up by the 2 light attacks. Still though, he is a very dangerous opponent, so don't try to be too aggressive. Fall off when you can, get those full heals in when you can, and you want to stay at or close to full health when facing this boss. In my mind, I'm thinking, hey, we've hit him with a couple of heavy jump attacks. If we can get a couple more, we might be able to trigger a stagger, and that could be enough to finish off the whole fight if we get him one more time. So we're going to go under his overhead attack, hit him once, hit him with a heavy jump attack, and we are able to get some good RNG, trigger an overhead slam. He's going to come down with distant death. We dodge through it. He's very close as we get that jumping attack, which will strike the critical strike and end the fight. As long as you utilize the windows that we explained here, you will be able to script him into a stagger, finish him off with your light attacks and your heavy attacks with your torch. The difficulty rate in a Malkeith, always a doozy, ends up being a 7 on 10. And now we head up to always the scariest boss of any run, Gideon, the All-Knowing. With the low damage output that the torch does, the Gideon fight was hard. It took many attempts. As you see, he is not speaking Japanese when we enter the arena, showing that this was definitely not a first try attempt, as his magic spam and the low overall damage with the torch made finishing off this boss incredibly challenging. One of the tricks that we found for this boss that definitely helped out were dash attacks, jump attacks, anything that could let us get in and out quickly. That is what we tried to utilize. Anytime there was a window, we tried to punish it. We weren't worried about staying at full health as much. We were mostly worried about, hey, how can we keep the pressure on this boss, not give him a chance to recover, and not give him a chance to do some of these combinations that can one-shot us, being that we do have a lower health. So right there, we said, hey, let's tank those rings. Let's keep the pressure on as he tries to heal. We want to go up, do these jump attacks, manage our stamina here. You see we back up, we heal, we get our stamina up, and then we charge him, clears the distance. Yeah, we have to tank that magic attack a couple times, but we are able to keep pressure up on this boss, and it ends up being key throughout it. When you're fighting Gideon with a torch, you're going to have to trade with him. The range is slow, and he's going to roll you away quite a bit. Whenever there is a window of opportunity, you need to jump in aggressively and take it, and that is what you will see whenever we go for a heavy jump attack when he does one of his magic attacks. And a lot of times, if you time it correctly, you can knock him right out of the attack. And that is why it's always worth it to stay on the offensive when fighting Gideon with the torch. From there, you see we can actually get a jump attack followed up by a quick light attack. We are going to have to dodge some of his spam, but we're in a good position to punish his Kamehameha coming down here. He does back up so you don't get a chance to sneak in that extra light attack. Keep our resources high, get him back up to full health, and from here on out, he is about one hit away. So we're focusing on, hey, where is a window? We get one here, and we get Gideon down. It took a little over a dozen attempts, and the torch's range and overall low damage output made it very tough. The difficulty rating of Gideon using the torch was a full 10 on 10. Now, Godfrey normally isn't a hard run for us in any challenge, but with this weapon and the just low amounts of damage that it does, it was quite a doozy. In phase 1, you want to stay on his right hip, your left as you're looking at him, and you'll trigger out much less attacks you have to worry about. You will get his triple slam attack that we see there, but primarily the attack we're looking for is his left-right optional third swipe. And from there, we like to get him to jump away from us. We'll see that entire sequence a little bit as he jumps away, followed up with a jump attack. You dodge his punish, you dodge that one, and then you see the circle attack, and we're staying on that hip. Now we're behind him, and he jumps away. We follow it up with a jump. We dodge his punish. We hit him with a jump. We dodge his punish, and we hit him with a light attack, triggering him to run away. We don't go for an attack there for stamina management, but that is the trick to really getting consistent output in phase 1. You want to limit his very wide variety of attacks, and staying on that left hip, again, right as you're looking at him, is a good way to limit the type of attacks that he will do to you. Right here, we get a stagger, no critical hits, of course, with the torch, but we are able to get a bunch of light attacks. We got 6 in a row there, and we're in a good position to potentially get a stagger when phase 2 starts. We get the animation where he kicks us, goes for a grab, another kick, and really and truly, we should be trying for a critical strike there, but because of how the fight started, I was worried that if we were too aggressive, we wouldn't be able to get out of there and heal out. Still though, no harm, no foul. Definitely feel free to be more aggressive than we were in that section there. But it's going to not matter in the end because we are able to get him down here and get him into this animation, which is key in this fight. When he is standing straight up there, we're able to do not 1, not 2, but 3 jump attacks, 4, 5 on the follow-up. I know he is close to a stagger, and I know that if we can just hit him, we should be able to punish him immensely as we get a critical strike. Unfortunately, his onslaught takes him out of the range for that. We have to beat the tactful retreat. As he does the slam attack, we retreat out. But as I'm looking at his health, he only has about 7% remaining. A couple more attacks should actually win for us. So we're going to trade with him here. And we see him charging up his swipe attack. We've got to get the hell out. We barely managed to escape because if you get caught in that, you're going to have a bad time. We trigger his jump attack, get hit by it, and we see that charge attack coming again. From here on out, I know we're going to have a free window. He's close. We're going to heal up to full. And then right from there on out, jump over it, jump over the second. Here comes a grab, dodge through it, gets one jump, and we missed. I couldn't believe it. I knew that was going to be another fight. Now we've got to dodge an entire other sequence. He does the slam. He comes for us with the cannonball attack. We're able to dodge it, dodge the grab, finally get the damage off on the jump. He is one hit. It's going to all come down to this as he slams down, gives us a chance to hit him again, and he lives on 1. He couldn't have lower health if he wanted to. We tank 1. We finish him off with a final hit. After a dozen tries, Godfrey, the first Elden Lord's down. Incredibly challenging with the torch. The difficulty ended up being a 9 on 10. There is a common misconception in the Soulsborne community that using fire is good against Radagon because people say Radagon is weak to fire. Radagon is not weak to fire. He simply doesn't resist it as he does holy and almost every other damage attack. He's neutral. Unfortunately, the Elden Beast, while not flat out resistance to fire himself, puts water on the arena. And in Elden Ring, if there's water around, like if it's raining in the overworld or there's water on the ground around you, your fire attacks do less damage. So although Radagon might be okay with the torch, the Elden Beast is going to be significantly harder because the torch relies so much on its fire damage. So right here, when the fight starts, you want to rush Radagon and you want to get in some of those free jump attacks, able to stagger him. Obviously, we're not able to critical strike the lad, but instead of going for the crits, when he's staggered, we're able to hit him with a few jump attacks, get us back up to full, and know that we are very close to getting his triple slam attack where we should be able to punish immensely. So we see here 1 slam, 2 slams. We're going to jump up. We're going to punish with that. We're going to dodge the 3rd. And I know he's very close to a stagger. There he is. 2, 3, 4 light attacks. We have to dodge the holy lightning bolts. And by dodge, I mean tactfully letting it hit you. And we get very lucky with an animation. He comes into a back-to-back triple grand slam, allowing us to dodge it, finish him off. The overall difficulty of Radagon with the torch isn't as bad. It ended up only clocking in at a 3 on 10. But remember what I said, with Radagon down, the Elden Beast is going to resist the fire damage that this torch has to offer. So what we're explaining here is what we need to look out for in the Elden Beast fight. Specifically, when the water is on the ground around him, our damage is going to be nullified. Now, one thing that we do have in our advantage is even though this weapon cannot perform a critical strike, as we discussed, it is good at building up stagger damage. And the Elden Beast, when you do stagger him, has an incredibly long recovery window. So the idea and the strategy is going to be focus on jump attacks, focus on fully charged heavy attacks. And when the Elden Beast is in a staggered stance, we want to start spamming light attacks as soon as we can. So with that being said, we are ready to go. We're going to start off by 1 jump attack as we try to get behind him. Here's 2, here's 3. You notice we crutch our character. That's going to allow your stamina to recover faster. Anytime you get in a position where you get a crutch down, we actually were able to get off 6 heavy jump attacks right when the fight started. And I know that this boss is close to getting staggered. Here is 7. And on that 7th one, he goes down. We're able to get off 4 light attacks. 1, 2, 3, 8 light attacks. 1, 2, and a total of 10 light attacks for free after we stagger this boss. From here on out, we want to play a little bit conservatively because we know that he is in range for his ring around the rosy attacks. The more times he does melee attacks for us, the better, as we see the 1, 2, 3 melee, because this is just going to allow us to get our chip damage. This is our stealth rock damage for any Pokemon fans out there. We know the more chip that this monster has, the easier the fight is going to be. And we again get lucky on a sequence of him activating melee attacks instead of the ring around the rosy. This is fantastic news for us because we were able to get those jump attacks on him on the other side. We get 3 more here, and I know he's close. I'm thinking to myself, if we can just get 1 more jump attack, we might be able. And then when he doesn't activate the ringer on the rosy, I know that this is our chance. We dodge the melee, we hit him once, we hit him twice, and we proc the stagger. This is incredible to get off 2 staggers of the Elden Beast before he does a single ring around the rosy. And this is an excellent strategy if you are fighting the Elden Beast with the torch. He has not done a single pocket full of posy, and now he only has about 40%, call it 38% of his health remaining. From here on out, when he does ring around the rosy, we do a 180, we run straight backwards, and we know that the beast will appear right in front of us like so. With him appearing, we know he's going to be doing the Elden Stars, so we attack. We're able to get off 4 jump attacks, That's number 5. Before we start getting hit by the attack, we're going to be a tactful retreat as he tries to rein us in with a combination of tracking holy spells as well as the Elden Stars. And he is in prime position to be staggered one more time, I'm thinking. But unfortunately, we get the triple ring around the rosy. We have to stop the pursuits, turn around, and run straight ahead. This will guarantee that the Elden Beast will appear directly in front of us. We drop to the 3 rings. There's the beast. We're going to keep charging him as he comes down. He does an AoE attack, so we do need to be to retreat. And we need to crouch down. Whenever you crouch, your stamina will recover faster. So anytime you see our character crouching, that is because we are trying to take full advantage of the ability to get our stamina back faster, because this boss takes a lot of running, a lot of punishment. And with this melee sequence, I know in my mind right here, we're about to win the fight. We get one jump attack, we get a stagger, and down goes the Elden Beast. The Elden Beast has been conquered with just a fucking torch, and the difficulty rating only ended up clocking in at a 6 on 10. Now that we've had a full breakdown of the 14 mandatory bosses required to become the Elden Lord using only a torch, we're going to go into a tier list and see where this weapon tiers against the other 411 weapons in the game. The average difficulty rating on a scale of 1 to 10 for the 14 mandatory bosses required to become Elden Lord when using the torch ends up coming in at a 6 on 10, making the torch a truly horrible choice to have by your side as you become the Elden Lord. This weapon is meant to lead the way into darkness. It is not meant to damage enemies. Why the heck would you watch a breakdown analysis of a full playthrough using a torch? Dear a lot of pain. I was in a lot of pain making this. Don't use this weapon. Run almost every other weapon in the game. This is an easy, broken straight toward tier, coming in only below Bar's Bouquet as a truly awful weapon. But enough about what I think. Tell me what you think. Where does the torch rank in your personal tier? Would you go higher, lower? Is it actually an elite weapon? If you manage to bring your build up properly, let me know. How would you adjust the build in a playthrough if you were using the torch? I always love hearing from you. And we do these runs every Monday through Saturday live. Same name over on the Twitch, over on the TikTok. Love to join in. Love to hear any weapon recommendations you have for a future video. And until next time, fellow tarnished, stay maidenless.